Live. So it's time to start. Perfect.
Yes.
Today, Kaushik is like redder than usual. Very, very red. The- this is okay. So, hello and welcome to Momentum Office Hours. My name is Yash, and I'm joined by my co-founders Harsh, Jai, and Kaushik to discuss topic of the week, which is UX for AI-led SaaS products. Our goal is to provide you with actionable insights and practical strategies that you can apply to your own products. Throughout the session, we encourage you to engage with us by asking questions and sharing your thoughts. This is a fantastic opportunity to learn from each other and gain new insights that can help drive your tech initiatives forward. So let's get started. Jai, Harsh, Kaushik, how are we doing today?
Yeah, doing great. Yes.
Great, doing perfect. Awesome. Getting ready for the company offsite.
Yeah, indeed.
We've been practicing some performances. Our whole company is going for an offsite in this Friday. So interesting. But Kaushik, so tell us, why is UX for AI-led SaaS products different than UX for a SaaS product? So why does that need to be a separate conversation?
It is because of the quite recent improvements that we have. Two aspects here. We are seeing the amount of integrations with respect to plugging in AI inside the products have been significantly increased, and the demand for it also have been significantly increasing. That's one, and we are also seeing that no business is ready to wait for the AI to get perfect. So, with that in mind, everyone wants AI, irrespective of whatever the potential, the model that they're using in is. With that in mind, the whole aspect of how consumer friendly and how user friendly are it is for using AI hasn't been defined very clearly yet, and it's something that major organizations are pouring a lot of money to do research upon. Like Google has started it like a couple of years ago itself, like giving more focus into this, respectively with different organizations. Similarly, how for example when there is a specific UX pattern and a specific rules for different field like fintech, for e-commerce, for SaaS, we have tried to establish. Similarly, for AI also, with increase in demand for usage, it raises new problems. So there is a need to define, and define clarity within Nespa, which are the best practices, which patterns work out better. With and Here there's also a technical aspect, right? Like for example, you're to give, let's say you're building an AI based product, you can't expect the AI model to give you results instantly better. So we know it. We have been building, and we are seeing it quite often. Instantly, you won't see better results coming in. At that point of the time, to deal with user frustration, you need UX to come in hand over there to make the lives better. So that's the thing.
So, like you said, a couple of things. The
Yeah.
only thing that the only takeaway that I got was that technology is still not great, and we need UX to cover for the bad technology. So either the technology is bad or the expectations are very high, and we
Expectation.
need good design to sort of bridge that gap. Would that be a fair way
Yeah.
to say
Yeah.
that?
I mean, we are getting there. This has always been the case with emerging tech, right? So it will always take some time to catch up and get there. But during the transition period, how much of UX can help it to withstand it and make sure that it's easier for the users? Because for it to grow, more people should use it. More people should come in touch with it, such that they can share feedback. They can which will help to eventually make the tech better. So that's why it's very important for us to define UX for AI.
Yeah.
Can
So,
yeah. Go ahead, no problem.
yeah. So, Kaushik, I just want to understand, such like if there is a SaaS product, right? Then we can say the one standard checklist, right? These are the things are required for any SaaS product, right? if is there any checklist or we can say some standards that we should follow if we have AI products? But AI can be integrated, or I have AI SaaS product, right? That can be both can be done. But what are the standards we can say, or we can say the checklist that is to be need for the AI UX thing?
So there are this can be divided into three steps. I'll give you three ways in which you can have which better way of having AI, right? So for example, we have automations, we have augmentation, and then we have generation. Three segments I'll try to divide. Okay, so in automation, there are certain tasks within your product that you're trying to do, and with, you want to automate certain steps within this task using AI. So this could be you want to probably skip. There is one, then you realize that two, three, four are repeatable tasks, and and these are causing a lot of friction in your product. So you could automate that particular process and jump to the fifth. So this is automation. Augmentation is basically you have certain data in your product, and then you're using AI to forecast or create an entire scenario which would help them to get use the product in much more valuable way. For example, your product, let's say recommendations, and for example, are one aspect of it. Like AI could understand your previous usage and then recommend similar or something much better than what you were using previously within the application, any particular aspect or the feature that's existing in the thing. So it's trying to create a scenario based on the data of your usage or the data that is available within the product. Then we have generation. So generation is completely from scratch. That's generative AI, right? So you are trying to create from scratch. That's where the prompt basis comes in each one of these sets that I just explained, they all have their own onboarding, own set of making it easier for the user to use it aspect where the activation aspect of the product, and then also the error states. To be very honest, one very important thing that I feel in UX pattern for AI that needs to be very clearly defined is how will the errors look? How will the feedback loop work out if the model doesn't respond properly? And that if that causes frustration, what happens is that the biggest plus point of having AI in your product is to build more trust and give more value, and that breaks instantly there. So if the error is bad, so designing good errors and good feedback loops in the design is very important across all three of them. So
Okay.
can, and these could you can literally divide them in these categories and then decide which one should plug in inside your product at what aspect at what point.
Okay, so let's take one example. Okay, so I have two AI product. One is for such like the prediction. Okay, they will use a prediction or it is a forecast, right? And other AI product is like the generative AI, right? In which you can give the prompt and they will give you the output, right? So we can say in both AI models, the chances are high to give some wrong output. Okay, so how the errors things can be differ for both AI model is respect to UX. Respect to UX, how can we show the errors to user that according to different AI models?
Okay.
But yeah, the question is there a same thing that we should follow for all the AI model, or there can be different error format, or how we can show the errors to the user for AI?
Not different. It depends on product to product also again, to be honest. But at the same time, I'm just saying that the error should just do the job of information delivery. It should also aid them to do something else more than that also. I'll give you an example. We are recently working on we are recently one of the products that we have when we have created this design aspect where when someone searches for something and a set of results were supposed to show and the results doesn't show, and a set of design templates or something that's supposed to show that doesn't show up, we have created the error message in such a way that hey, you have tried to look out for so and so, it is not available with us as of now, would you like to request for a design? So when a design that you are searching for is not available, we are not just saying that it's not available. We are saying that it's not available, but you can place a request and we can actually send it to you. There's no AI aspect involved in this. I'm just talking purely from the sense of good error designs. So you can think of this as I always give this analogy of for error designs as the good librarian analogy. So when I was in college, so the college had a very good librarian, and I used to say that good design should be the like the librarian, because whenever I wanted a book and if it was not available, without me telling him, he used to already place the order for the book beforehand in some other library, or try to get it without me even asking for it. So it's just being polite and being nice, right? So an error message that is nice and polite would be great. That's the whole point.
Great. So we talked a lot about trust factor that design has to build, especially at the current situation where we are, where AI is a must component inside any of the SaaS product. Apart from this, at times it happens that, let's say, before having any AI component inside a SaaS product, it's already placed in such a way that all the buttons, all the experience throughout, all the wireframes are set in a way where there is no more scope of adding any additional feature. But let's say now, because of the need of AI component which is to be implemented, there is no right space. So could you share any of your examples based on the work, or any such approaches where, if this is a situation, what should be the approach? Because many a times I've talked with founders and they have said that this is a challenge with them. So would like to know that.
The best thing is to make sure do not break the existing flows and patterns. I'll give you a very good example. So, for example, let's say you are in a language learning platform, right, like Duolingo or anything. And let's say you are trying to learn a particular phrase in a different language. It is in English, and you are trying to learn it in Spanish or something like that. So if the phrase is there, and below that, if I show suggestions saying that hey, this is how this phrase has been spelled out in Spanish, and this is a YouTube video with related to that. Let's say your AI, it is still doing scraping and getting the data, but still it is able to give such as a UX display pattern I'm talking about, and it is just showing us citations or hindsight just below the phrase. This is one. There are certain platforms that create a special tool, just a special character that just pops out of nowhere, like a chatbot or something, and then says that would you like to do it? There is difference between showing these two things. In the second option, where it specifically comes up and shows, the problem here is that it's breaking the existing pattern that users are used to. So do not do that. You rather work around the same patterns that exist, because people have spent significant amount of time in other people's platforms and apps, more than in your app. So they expect to see your platform to work the way they have experienced it previously. So it's better to follow that pattern. So your job is to make life simpler and not to make them think at all. So they just, in fact, good AI addition should be in such a way that they don't even feel like it's an AI transition specific that's happening. So yeah.
So about the last piece, right? So I wholeheartedly agree that it should not feel like it was an AI piece that helped them. What I have also noticed, and I don't really have an opinion on this, but I'm sort of torn between these two. What I have also noticed is that the business will always come in and say that no, make them realize that AI did this, right? Because they want to charge for that AI, right? So as an example, like if you use AI in Notion or AI in ClickUp, there's a separate glow that appears, right? So it's not seamless. It like hammers down that, hey, this output has been done using AI. Want to know your opinion on that, right? Where the business wants to make sure that the user or the customer realizes that this value that they got is because of the AI. But first principles UX is that you don't want to tell them more information that they need to know, right? So as a user, if I want to accomplish a task, as long as that task is getting accomplished, I shouldn't get to know like what automations ran, what APIs were sent out, and it is equivalent to saying that, in absence of AI, if I'm using a software and if I click on sign up button, on the next screen it tells me that 7 APIs were fired, for your sign up to actually take place onto the software. And so, which I don't need to know, as to your from an engineering standpoint. What's your opinion on that?
Talk about I think so. Answering your first aspect of the question, if there is a definite need to make them understand about what AI value is my product offering, at least for now, because when the clarity is, it's very important for us to deliver that message initially. So at least for next 5-10 years, I'm expecting that to happen, where it is going to, where people will preach about what literally about what the AI could help them with. Even with that, like you have mentioned, I think the best way to deal with it is keep your messaging at the time of. So I'm mostly this is happening at the time of onboarding, and mostly at the time of using a particular feature that has AI, right? So the affordance is like literally preaching about the whole aspect of AI that it has. So I would say talk about the benefit that is being offered rather than what is under the hood. What it is, no one cares what API model. I mean, at least from the
Yeah,
user perspective, what API model you used, what what LLM is it, what is why the. I have seen platforms that used to show error messages that is completely in text language, right? Where user
yeah,
would never understand what it is. So
yeah.
rather,
It just says error 500.
exactly something like.
So yeah,
So that's why rather talk about the benefits. I think Notion has done it. Notion has done a really good job with that, right? Like for example, when they talk only about what benefit it is offering with respect to that particular thing. If it is, let's say, if it is something, it is aiding you to summarize something, or aiding you to shorten or make it. You might have seen this a lot of time in text-based AI generation, where to summarize or to make it sound more smarter, or to make it sound more quirkier, funnier, and all. That is a benefit addition, right? So you are saying that this is the benefit that is there. So you use it. In fact, instead of putting it in text, if you could make it more actionable, that is great. Don't um, instead of telling your user, make them do it. That is a better way to educate someone in real life, also in also with AI. So I think that if people could approach that pattern in with respect to from business point of view also, it would be very helpful for the business also, right? Like there's no better way than shouting it out loud than making them realize the value of it on their own. So that would be a better way to do it. Well, we should do it. Yes, as of now.
Yeah, but Kaushik, in very we can say AI products where input is very important, right? So like the prompt which we have right to getting the output, right? So for that, it's much required to give some training, or we can say onboard the user in very good way, so that they can use the AI thing very effectively, right? So what do you think? Is there any effective ways, we can say the best way to give training, or you can say to give good understanding of features, how to use AI thing in a product, right? Is there any good way to say that?
Yeah. So this particular problem is more significantly in generative aspect rather than in automation and augmentation. In automation and augmentation, there is a fixed set and you can understand it. In generative model, this is a huge problem. Even the most tech savvy of us are not so good with prompts. Because you have to literally convert your mental what thought process into words and put it together, which is a separate skill set itself, right? And a tech is demanding that skill set from everyone on the planet. So it is going to take, in fact, so the best practice is you could see platforms like Microsoft Designer is one example. What they try to do is they give prompt itself as a suggestion, right? So prompt suggestions are one interesting ways in which currently we are solving that issue. So let's say I go into Microsoft Designer. There are the entire dashboard is designed in such a way that there are just images, and whenever I hover over an image, it would showcase me the prompt that is associated with that image. Midjourney does the same. All those platforms are starting to do the same. This is this is very clearly to beat the mental block with respect to writing the prompt or the prompt issue that you addressed. And once I think what would be an additional level that would be great is that if I could edit that prompt. So if I could put the ability to change few words and then use that prompt. So then what happens is I come in, I see the prompt that is closest to my thought process. I take that prompt and I edit that prompt and it generates output out of it. So if we could create a small step in between, that would be a great help for the user's mental model to work upon. But
Yeah, we can also give something like a score, right? Okay, how much your prompt is similar to the actual prompt. That can be, we can say, right? Like we can give them scoring type.
yeah, but for that I need to give an input prompt first.
Yeah,
Again,
right, right.
same
Yeah.
process. So, yeah, we could try. There are many things like this. There's one very interesting. Since you asked, I'm trying to bring it up. Is that one very interesting problem that I noticed across all of them is that quantity versus quality of the data that's coming out. So, for example, that now this is something that as a company, as a product that one needs to make a decision about how good is your data model. So with respect to that, especially in generative AI aspects, the quality of how much quality am I delivering and how much quantity should I deliver at the same time. So if your quality is less, like it's a very tough decision to come at. Like when should I do what kind of scenario, which we are seeing it. Midjourney themselves have faced this issue. That's when they started giving 4 iterations initially, and then you choose one, and then you can iterate upon more. So this entire iterative aspect came from that confusion itself. That should I give quality? My data model is not there yet, so should I give the quality more? But from business perspective, I can't look like the one single image output that I gave looks bad because so that's when the quantity comes in. So these are UX aspects, right? Because I'm thinking from the user's perspective of what will make them happy with the product as of now. Eventually, it will get better, but now can my UX help to make it better, the experience? So quantity versus quality is another aspect over there.
Yeah, right, right. Yeah. Great.
Awesome. So, Kaushik, like we all know that AI would help in personalizing the user experience, right? In that particular aspect, what design, I mean, could you share a few examples on what design considerations are there that could be, critical for delivering that personalization effectively? If there are any examples.
Yeah. So I think with respect to this aspect, AI, if there's one place that AI is really getting is good at and we can trust as of now, I mean, we can try build products around in a great way is personalization. So which sort of falls under the augmentation category where there is a fixed set of data models and based upon that it is trying to personalize things for you. So one is in this the patterns is one is your own data or your own usage of the product upon which the personalization can happen. Then there is another set of personalization where upon your peers who and again there are two categories in this. One is peers who if there is a community aspect inside the platform, then within your community, within your friends, what sort of content they are consuming, and based upon that personalization is being suggested. Then the other aspect is you might have followed or liked a particular category or associated with a particular tag, and the people who are also associated with the tag, but they are not anyway in connection or direct relation with you. What sort of content are they consuming, or what sort of data are they consuming, and that being suggested as a personalization, which itself could be benchmarked again and could be used in multiple ways. Then the third aspect is more like so my own data, my peers' data, and then the third comes with respect to from business aspect of anything that we want to highlight or showcase. There also the personalization works, and we are trying to, as a business, you are trying to sell something to a user based on their interest again. Now, to know again, you need to know their interest and data with respect to that, such that that gives you insights to upsell a particular aspect. So you would see that in Amazon, where Amazon suggests Amazon made productions that are in line with my interests, right? So that is again happening around. So, but yeah, there's one interesting example also. Let's say it's a fitness app, and I'm trying to I there are like 5 6 exercises that I try to do every day, right? Now, and the fitness app has the data of with respect to my BMI and my entire body details. Uh, then comparing these both, taking these both data, if there is a certain set of my exercise sets that I need to do suggested by AI, that is again a combined personalization model where it is taking data from multiple points and trying to create a personalized or tailor-made set for you. So these are different kinds of. It depends on product to product, but mostly around this is what it tries to play around.
So, what is the process of QA/QC? I don't want to say QA because that is typically for bugs and all of that, but like, how do I know whether we've largely spoken about generative AI, which is a very simple text-based input and then output and so on and so forth. But in cases much like where you were talking about personalization, which is not generative AI, but let's say in case of where AI is augmenting, where AI is offering some insights depending on data and stuff like that. How do I do QA of sorts, which is where how do I know that the output that was generated, how close was that output to the expectation that the user had? Like what's the framework to do that, right?
So I'll again come with those three broad sections that I try to categorize, and I'll try to address this from each section wise, so that there is clarity. In case of automation, the idea is that uh, uh, mapping your user's current journey and then identifying the friction points and then converting them into opportunities to be automated is a much better thing. One bigger mistake that a lot of UX designers do with respect to automating AI is that they think every task is a chore. That's not true. Not every task is a problem, and it doesn't mean that every task needs to be automated at the same time. So that, you don't have so map. There is a precursor to this thing before, especially in the automation space, where while doing the UX research itself, you try to map it correctly. So here, the UX research plays a significant role. Whereas in with respect to augmentation aspect, uh, the suggestions should be trustworthy. And here, then the quality aspect also comes in, where the quality of, let's say your data model is not so good, then the quality of the suggestions are not going to be great. So then you might want to focus upon the quantity of the suggestions that is being showcased, such that until your data model gets better, the user doesn't feel like even the ones that are shown to me. Uh, let's think the other side. Let's say your data model is not so great, and you didn't make a decision from UX perspective that I need to show more quantity of the suggestions or the personalization items. Then the user would feel like even the ones that are shown to me are bad, right? So that's another check that needs to be done. And especially in personalization, you also need to know about how much should you show, how much is not too overwhelming for the user. This is a very common. It is not just with AI, with even with Netflix, even with any sort of information delivering UX. We have seen is that how much is consumable information, how much is and within the consumable information, there is information that I take action upon, such that you don't create the paradox of choice in UX over there. So that is another check that needs to be kept in mind with respect to the augmentation aspect as well as the personalization. Generative we have spoken a lot, but one is with in that the stages with respect to prompt, how much better can you help people with giving the prompt, because Yeah, you're saying.
So let me I think clarify a little more, right? So I'll clarify this with an example. So as an example, if I'm in Netflix, there are two separate experiences that I'm having. One is how easy is it to navigate Netflix, and how many steps do I need to go through to land onto the piece of content that I want to watch. So that's the first part of the UX. The second part of the UX is the content itself. How good is the content piece in case if Netflix has originally produced it? What I'm trying to get to with my question is that pre AI, software was only responsible for generating the output. The quality of output was completely dependent on me as the user. So if I'm creating a chart, or if I'm creating like in spreadsheet, or if I'm, let's say, using Photoshop or using Figma, whatever software, Notion, right? So whatever software that I'm using, it's only responsible for generating the output. The quality of the output, I am 100% responsible. And so that's the UX for a SaaS product, right? Which is how easy is it for me to generate an output that I want to generate. With AI, I'm one is basic UX, which is how easy is it for me to generate an output, and then UX is also important in the quality of the output as well, right? Which is as an example, in Canva, if I'm or in Figma, if I'm using some AI elements, or in Photoshop, if I'm using AI to edit my images and let's say remove backgrounds, or replace a mountain with a sky, or whatever the case may be, right? So how easy is it for me to replace, and what is the quality of the replacement that happened? What I'm trying to ask you is, in the second part of it, once technology has been deployed, we've established this already, that there's a difference between the expectation that a user has and the output that technology can generate. What are the frameworks that a UX person needs to have to know whether the quality of the output is matching with the expectation, and if it is, then to what extent is it matching? And that's the piece that I'm trying to understand, right? What is the QA QC sort of framework around the UX of the output that is being generated through AI?
Okay, so I think to give a, I was trying to piece it together in my head. It's a very specific question.
Yeah.
Uh, I think one is I think understanding the data that is there itself is a problem here. With respect to and because UX designers assume they don't know what data or they know what it is, they don't have complete idea about what data they are dealing with. And until unless they don't have complete idea, or they don't know what categorizations they have with respect to data that they are dealing with. Because once they know what categorizations they are that are present, they know which data to prioritize and which data not to prioritize. Right. So that itself is a set of QA QC that one need to do even from the designers. That because it's high time that whenever you're designing AI, you need to have a lot of clarity upon the entire data set that you're dealing with, categorizations within them, what priorities that you need to do. I'll address this with an example. Let's say Apple Music is there, or your Spotify is there, right? So now there are lots of songs that is there, and you're listening to a particular set of songs. Uh, Without knowing all the categories of songs that is present, you don't know which song to be prioritized and personalized to the individual person. So that
Correct.
level of understanding is necessary now for the UX designers to keep in mind, as well as for the product managers and for the entire team. Such that everyone should have clarity upon this. Otherwise, it becomes very. Otherwise, what happens is that it would be nothing different from it before AI. It will still be the same patterns, same UX patterns, making sure that onboarding is great, activation in activation's perspective, uh, 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 making sure that we have spoken about this in our previous podcast also, where for better, how can you have better UX for activation rates in SaaS and all those things? Those will still be the same. So the data, the idea about the data, and also the clarity on the data is very important check here from which previously UX designers didn't play a role upon. And now it's very important that they have to, otherwise it becomes very tough to personalize it.
Got it.
A complete control over it. Yeah.
Got it, yeah. Awesome, Kaushik. That brings us to the end of the conversation that we have for today. I know that there are so many other things that we can discuss, and I'm sure we have a lot more questions as well. But that's the time that we have, and we'll be for all the people who have been with us up until now. Consider wherever you are, whether it is LinkedIn or YouTube, consider sharing this, consider following, subscribing, whatever is your jam, right? And we'll be seeing you again on next Wednesday. And thank you for joining in, and see you soon.
Yes.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.